if you give nature rights as persons, then you have to say that nature is beloved. If you look at the biblical text that Jews and Christians honor, which is on the seventh day God rests, and he looks at the creation and basically delights in it. And basically, God delights and loves nature. And I think that's really important to recognize. And that nature is as much beloved as human beings are. I like to use the notion of God as gardener. I have a whole chapter on that in God is Green. People love that, especially those who are gardeners. And I also really think that gardening is a far more important sort of concept. And I tell you that because we had a wonderful garden at our church in North Hollywood. And a deacon who was also had full-blown HIV, AIDS, and cancer. And the garden for a good 7-8 years kept him alive. He was there every day, even though when sick. The only days he was not there was when he was not hospitalized. And he cared with great love and tenderness the plants, and mourned when he lost a plant. And he sat down with me one day and said, you know, I look at plants and I mourn at it, but I know that life comes out of that. And I think that's how God, and he went on to say, you know, the garden has taught me how to listen to people as I learned to listen to plants. That's profound. I dedicated the book to my friend Greg. Profound. He was a wonderful listener, wonderful, compassionate, wonderful, caring deacon. He was a gardener of humanity as well. So developing a spirituality of gardening is a really, I think, good force to go forward on this. As I said, coming out of the book God is Green, I really felt that it was important to go to the next step that my church did. My church went through an inventory of we did an inventory to reduce all our footprint as best as we can. We replaced all lights with LEDs. We took our hot water tank and we imitated the English with their hot water on demand, which reduced our hot water bills really down dramatically. And then we started harvesting water because we were in drought, and discovered the Spirit was working, and the Spirit had us connect a rain barrel to the condensation of our air conditioners. Guess what? Every week and a half, 100 gallons, 2 50-gallon water tanks were filled, and we had the lowest water bill and the most plush garden in the city of North Hollywood. That's the work of the Spirit. We also decided to put solar panels on our church. We put 90 of them at this point in time. We really decided to do something dramatically radical. No church has done this, or community of faith. We made the earth a member of our church. Okay, we became the largest church in the world, if you want to argue. But no, seriously, what it did was my pastoral team said, if the church is a member, how do we pastorally care for the earth? So I threw it back at them and said, how do we? And they started caucusing and talked about maybe we need to work on environmental movements. I said, yes. What else? Maybe we need to fight for species and plants and so on. Yes, and so on. So they became more actively involved. We started running what I called solar nights, which was kind of an oxymoron because we ran for other faith communities, businesses in the area, and residents on solar panels, and basically what benefits you can get from it, because there's certainly benefits in terms of rebates. Even the Southern Baptists came and talked to me, and we were an openly LGBTQ church and affirming. They would talk to us about solar panels, but not about anything else at this point. But the reason is that solar panels is a good business thing for churches. The peak time for usage is evening and weekends. The peak time for generating energy that's bought back by the utilities companies, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So it's a good business sort of offset in terms of it. And it really was quite good. But the idea, what we were doing was to really basically reduce our footprint. We maintained that footprint, a low carbon footprint, not absolute net zero, but we reduced it significantly. And we reduced it as a congregation. We recycled, etc.